All right, guys, this next guest has been a huge part of the growth of Major League Soccer.
I was like, I got to go play with David Beckham, Landon, Donovan, and it was just hit you real fast. I went out there telling myself, I got drafted, but I haven't made it. So I have to go out there and still show myself and show what I'm capable of doing. And I think I did that in preseason and kind of earned myself a spot in Bruce's and the coach's eyes.
That's professional soccer player AJ DeLaGarza. AJ currently plays for the New England Revolution, and many of you soccer fans probably remember him as a very important key player who led the LA Galaxy to not one, but 3 MLS Cup Championships alongside David Beckham and Landon Donovan. Off the field, AJ is a husband and a father of 3, and many of us get to call him a friend. And it's been so great to see him accomplish various things personally and professionally. And today we're going to talk soccer and life so you can get to know him a little better. So AJ, welcome to Out of the Spotlight.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Hi, I haven't seen you in forever.
Yeah, really, I haven't seen you in forever, so it's good to see you.
So excited to have you on, and thank you so much for doing this. So now you're playing for the New England Revolution. So congrats on that. You're closer to home.
Yeah, only a 10-hour drive now. So.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah, my parents would actually drive from Maryland to Houston, and I did that drive as well. So that was it's brutal. So 10 hours seems like nothing now.
I bet. Let's talk a little bit about your career, and at what age did you begin playing soccer, and kind of like how did that happen? Who introduced you to the game?
Yeah, I started playing soccer when I was 4 years old. My mom and dad weren't soccer players, and to be fair, they weren't much into the athletics. So they got me into it just because I was a little kid, needed to burn off some energy. So they threw me into soccer, and I think at that age, not that they could see that I was something special, but I was kind of faster than all the other kids, and I got after the ball, got the ball. I played goalie, I played defense. I did everything at such a young age, and then I got to the age of 7, where you start to pick different sports as well, and it was soccer, and I started doing t-ball for a couple years, and I eventually quit t-ball because the kids kept rolling the ball to me instead of throwing it at me, and hey, I can catch too. Just throw it. Soccer took over, and that was literally all I did. All 4 seasons, indoor, outdoor. No matter the time of year, my family was taking me to some kind of tournament every weekend. So, they got me into that. And I think at that young age of 12, I think is when MLS started. And that's when DC United was obviously my hometown team. And that's when they were really good as well. We had Bruce Arena as a head coach, Marco Echeverri, Jaime Moreno, all these guys who I looked up to. That's how old I am too. I got to play against some of those guys too. So,
oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, but that's kind of how I got into soccer.
And that was was it like the DC United Academy team? Is that what it was?
No, there wasn't even academy teams back then. I actually played for DC United 1 year, but it wasn't like an academy. It was just literally try out. We're going to this tournament. You come back. That's it. There's nothing else. There's no other trainings, no other tournaments. So I went to a tournament in Paris, France, and
nice.
But that was the only time I could say I played for DC United. So it was just club teams and things around your community, especially at that young age. And then when I got to 14 years old, it's really when my parents and I tested myself and thankfully helped get me to where I am today, which was, they had to drive an hour and a half to training there and back. So 3 hours a day in a car just to go to my soccer trainings. But I think that's what ultimately got me to where I am today.
Absolutely. And where are your parents from? That's something I literally just learned. I think it was 3 days ago. You posted something that you did with MLS, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what? I didn't know this."
Yeah,
so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm Mexican, American, Indian, and Guamanian.
So
grew up in Maryland though. So, Yeah, my mom's American Indian. My dad is Guamanian and Mexican. But for that, the Pacific Islander Heritage Month, I have a lot of family, and my grandmother who uh, was born and raised in Guam, and I hadn't
Oh,
been there until I committed to play for the national team, and
yeah.
I did that back in 20, I think 14, right after my son passed away. I wanted to do something different, and that's what I want to do to inspire the next generation over there on the islands, and uh, even the players here
Hmm.
that are Guamanian. Just being able
Yeah.
to have someone to look up to. But yeah, that's my background
That's
of
so
that. So
cool.
yeah, but it's
That's
just it's
so
just
cool.
crazy because in Maryland, there wasn't many of that. Like I would go to powwows when I was little. Not too many family from Guam over in Maryland, and yeah, it was rough. I kind of didn't know where I fit in and which groups that were gonna be friends with. So
Yeah.
struggle.
And something that I also found really, really amazing is that, like you just mentioned, a lot of people kind of don't know where to fit in depending, where they're from. And for you, you played for both the Guam men's national team and the US men's national team. So, what was that like? I mean, it's like you were able to play for a little bit of both of you.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, my ultimate goal was to play for the U.S. men's national team, and I got called into like I think 4 camps throughout 4 years, and I just knew at that point I wasn't ever going to be someone that they would call in, over the big tournaments. So it was just something I decided I wanted to go play for Guam and again help that next generation. Obviously, gifts. I don't know. My grandma. I got to meet my grandma and my family in Guam, and we had World Cup qualifiers in Guam, and uh, we beat countries like India who have however many billions of people. Okay, sorry, somebody's trying to call me. Should I try to?
So popular.
Sorry, my
You're,
bad.
you're like, I'm busy, guys. I'm doing an interview,
Yeah,
okay?
sorry. And I just saw that guy too. So Omar Gonzalez. I don't know why he's calling me.
Oh, that's funny. He probably wants you to give him a shout out
Yeah,
on here.
yeah,
What up,
probably.
Omar?
I know. I told him I had an interview today, so I told him not
Oh,
to.
that's funny.
Yeah. So he probably did it on purpose.
Probably.
Yeah, but like I said, when I talked to Jurgen Klinsmann too before I made that switch to Guam, and um, I got to experience other side of the world that I've never seen before, and I get to travel all over Asia, and playing World Cup qualifiers, which is something I'll never forget.
You obviously continued playing soccer throughout middle school, high school, and then there was college. So, what was that experience like? And is that when you realized, hey, I want to play professional soccer? This is what I want to do? Or how did that happen?
Yeah, I think in college I was so much in the moment that where I didn't even realize, hey, I'm a senior now, and like my life is either going one way to be a professional soccer player, or I'm gonna have to find a real job. And it didn't hit me until like the last minute, and I was enjoying time in college, playing in college. Won 2 national championships in college, so my freshman year and my senior year. So I had some good moments there. Um, and like I said, I was living in the moment. And then when the time came, I got called to go to the MLS Combine, and I still had no idea like where I stood amongst the other players. I had a really good combine. Thankfully I got drafted 19th overall
Yeah.
to the LA Galaxy, and uh, I got to go to a team with the guy who just called me, Omar Gonzalez, from college, and together went to Maryland. So, or sorry, to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember I only had a couple recruiting trips. It was I think to Maryland and UVA, and I remember I was put on the spot from Sasha Sorowski, the Maryland head coach. He was like, after my little mini visit, he was like, "So are you coming?" And I was like, "I gotta ask my mom," like because it was just
Oh,
me and my dad
yeah.
there, and then 2 minutes later, I was like, "All right, I'm coming." Like,
I'm doing it.
yeah, I'm doing it. Like, and I think it was the best decision I could have possibly made.
Yeah.
my family was close by, obviously from Maryland, and getting to come to my games or just be able to come visit. I could go home whenever I needed to as well. So
Yeah,
and obviously a really good soccer club, and
absolutely.
yeah, definitely helped me get ready for the professional level.
I think that was back in 2009, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2009.
Gosh, you've been doing this for what, 13 years?
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is my 14th season, maybe.
Wow. That's
So,
so cool.
man, back then the draft was only the first round was on TV. The second and third rounds were on the internet. So
Yeah.
I was the 19th pick, but back then there was only like 14 teams. So I was in the
So
second. I
different.
was in the second round, and I remember sitting on my computer, just kept hitting refresh. And then I remember Chivas USA had this pick, the 19th pick, and
Hmm.
then I get a call from Graham Zusi, who's still in the league as well in Kansas City.
Yes.
He called me and he was like, "Congrats, man!" I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like,
Aw.
and then I hit refresh and it popped up. I was like, "Oh shit!" Like my
Oh, that's
my
awesome.
wife at the time was my girlfriend, and we were like,
Uh-huh.
we just want to stay on the same coast, like same time zone. And, like we
Yeah.
couldn't be any further apart at that point. So
Literally.
she was crying, but like also very happy. And I was like, oh, like I get to go play with David Beckham, Landon, Donovan,
Yeah.
and it was just hit you real fast. And like I went out there telling myself, like I got drafted, but I haven't made it. So I have to go out
Yeah.
there and still show myself and show what I'm capable of doing. And I think I did that in preseason and kind of earned myself a spot in Bruce's and the coach's eyes. So
I love that mentality of, you know what? I'm going out there, but I haven't made it yet.
yeah,
I love that because it pushes you, to just work hard. And obviously it worked for you
yeah.
big time.
Yeah, I remember getting a gash in my eye in preseason, and I had to get stitches and stitched up. And I was like, I can't miss any practices or games, like to the trainers, and they're like, "Don't worry, you're all right. Like you're gonna make the team." I was like, "Oh man!" Like I'm like, "How do you guys know this?" Like you could have told me this like a couple of days ago or something. But no, I think it's the best place to fall to, and I think there was probably so many other better players who never made it in the league, and it's just you end up in the wrong spot with the wrong coach or the wrong team, and unfortunately for them, it's hard to recover from that. So I got very lucky in where I landed, but I also took advantage of my opportunities. So I can't say it was all luck, but I worked hard to get to where I was, and I guess still am.
Yes, no, you are.
Yeah.
And do you remember your first professional goal?
My first professional goal, yeah, because there weren't many. The first one was crazy because first of all, we ended up losing that game 6-2, 6-3, something crazy. But at halftime it was 2-2. But what I thought was my first goal ended up being an own goal for the other team because I hit it off the goalie. The goalie saved it, came back out, hit off their player, and then went in. So I told myself I scored 2 goals in one half. I
Oh, that's funny.
actually did score minutes later, right after that, forcing that own goal. So
Oh,
it was
nice.
crazy. And then I had to come out at halftime because I had a knee problem. From I think from the own goal one. Yeah, my knee was just,
Ooh.
I couldn't go through it anymore. And then we unfortunately ended up losing that game, I think 6-2, 6-3. But yeah, I remember scoring the second goal that I thought I got and just putting my arms out, and they were like, he's got the airplane. Like I had no idea what I was.
He's got the
I had
airplane.
no idea what I was doing. Actually, I ran into Omar Gonzalez. So yeah, we
Yeah.
got
I love the
a lot
bromance.
of yeah, we got a lot of history together.
I love that you just mentioned, I don't score many goals. I don't score many goals. But I did see that in 2010, you scored the fourth fastest goal in club history. So you're pretty humble about your goal scoring.
Well, yeah, that was a crazy one. I know leading
Yeah.
up to that, we were playing Philadelphia, and one of my college friends was Philadelphia's goalie, Chris Seitz. And just leading up to that, playfully, I was like, "Oh, I'm going to score on Seitz this weekend." Like, kept telling it in the media.
Oh, stop. You
Yeah, I did
were?
like
Like during
interviews. I did
interviews?
interviews. And I said I'm going to score this weekend, and then somehow in the first minute, I get lucky on the back door and finish one off. And yeah, that was one I still brag to him about.
It's like you manifested it. You were like,
Yeah, but
I'm going to do
the
it.
craziest part was we had Edson Buttle as our forward that year. He ended up going to the World Cup because he
Yeah.
scored like the club's first 8 goals of the season, all Edson Buttle.
I remember the Edson Buttle era.
Yeah, and then it was me. So Edson Buttle scored 7, and then me, and they were like, "Well, that's the least likely person we thought that would score next." So, especially with guys like Donovan
so cool.
and all those guys. So
y'all had a pretty badass team.
Yeah, we were.
And at the time, I was working for the Houston Dynamo, and the Dynamo and LA Galaxy had the same ownership group at the time.
Yep.
And Shoops Entertainment Group. Yeah. And I remember going to the MLS Cup against you guys twice. 2 times. Yeah. But I mean, not the best experience for us Dynamo people, but congrats to you and your crew.
No, sorry.
I remember when the lights went out.
That was that was a Western Conference game. That was in 2009, actually.
Was it?
That was a.
It wasn't.
No, that was 2000.
It was MLS Cup.
No, that was 2009, and
when the lights went out. No, it was MLS Cup.
No, it was 2000.
We're going to have to do a poll. I promise.
I promise you. I remember it because I was having a stinker. It was my rookie year, so it was 2009.
But it happened 2 times.
It happened twice in the same game.
No, 2 different games. Am I losing my mind?
It was a long time ago, so I wouldn't expect you to remember that. Oh, you think it happened in 2 different games?
Yes, 2 different games. Was I really that like busy and I was seeing things?
It was in 2009. I promise.
Okay. I'm gonna have to do my research, or we'll have the fans do a little poll. To date, I will tell you, I've worked numerous games, whatever. There's nothing like the MLS Cup. I mean, that was just electric and fun. But as a player, what was that experience like for you?
I just remember in 2009 when we made it to the finals, it was in Seattle and we were playing Salt Lake. And then I think in 2011, it was already scheduled to be in LA at our stadium. So we were like, well, we have to be there like in front of our fans, our crowd. Thankfully, we made it there and we played the Dynamo to a very good game. I remember rainy day. I was kind of the start of the goal scoring, the game-winning goal that we had. I just cleared a ball up to Beckham, who headed it down to Donovan, headed it down to Keane, and then Keane played Donovan in and for a little chip. So if they should show the highlight, like one more play, they wouldn't say only Beckham, Keane, Donovan, So no, but just to be in those positions, I think is amazing, and being able to win and bring a championship to the Galaxy back then when, they'd been through a lot of struggles, and I think they came in last place before we got there in 2009, before Bruce took over and kind of turned things around. So, and then it took us a couple years to really get it. I mean, I think in 2009 though, we obviously lost in the finals in the PK shootout. We were 1 point away from Supporter Shield. So just on the cusp, on those 2 trophies. And then in 2010, we won the Supporter Shield, but then got smoked by Dallas in the playoffs. And then in 2011, we put it all together, and we won the Supporter Shield and MLS Cup, and I think that was maybe the last time it's ever been done. To be fair, to win Supporter Shield and MLS Cup, so I think so. Just proves how difficult that is to stay consistent throughout an entire year and in the playoffs. Yeah.
What would you say is one of your favorite moments of your career?
My favorite moments, I think it was the 2014 MLS Cup, and I'll always say that when they're like, "What's your favorite game?" I think I played really well in that game, for one, and just to win after the year that our team had, not just me, with the stuff of my son passing away, but Landon, Donovan not making the World Cup team, and just all the other stuff that was going around within the club. to be able to celebrate with those guys at the end of the year was, I think, the most special. I won't even say game, but moment, I think, on the field in my career. I just remember at the end of the game dropping to my knees and crying. And my wife always says, "Do you only see grown men cry after they win a championship? It's crazy." So yeah, it's a special moment, I think, because we worked so hard. And to finally, at the end of that year, be the last one standing is, I guess, something to cry for.
And we'll be right back with some rapid fire questions. A quick rapid fire. It's a little segment called Stuff It Up.
Yeah, I'm
You
good.
ready?
Go ahead.
Do you consider 20 minutes walking distance?
No.
Favorite player as a
Marco
kid?
Echeverry.
Oh, nice. First job?
I worked at a crab shack.
Like Joe's Crab Shack?
Smaller. Like, it was only like 4 of us who worked there. But yeah, it was literally just, I had to boil crab, shrimp, make sandwiches. Yeah.
Nice. Did you like take care of the parties too? Like, did you
No, there was no
sing
parties. It
and
was
do
just
a little
like
dance?
a little shack, like
literally.
shack in Maryland.
Ah.
And you would just come up to the little window, order what you want, and take it home. So like, yeah, it wasn't a sit down restaurant.
So
Yeah,
literally, like it's a shack.
It's called the Crab Shack. Yeah.
So since you have cute little ones, favorite Disney movie?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say favorite kid. I was like, oh man.
Can you imagine? Oh wow!
Favorite Disney movie
Wow.
has got to be Luca. Just obviously the name and the movie is actually really good, and that's probably one of the only movies I watched with my kids where I've sat there and watched the entire thing multiple times.
That's a good one. Like I'm not gonna lie, no shame. I cried. Like at the very end, I did. And again, it goes back with the fact that I have more kids around me, my nephews and my niece. So I'm an emotional wreck these days. It's horrible. True or false? You've dressed up as a Disney princess.
Oh, true. Every single one. And I probably fit into their outfits too. So yeah, good.
Oh, I love that. What current teammate would you not allow to babysit your kids?
Oh, which one would I not? I'll say Ima Boateng, just because he's the same size as my daughter, so they might tuck him into bed. Yeah.
Okay, how about which one would you actually allow? Like you would trust them? Like if you want to go on a date with your wife.
Well, it's not fair because Omar Gonzalez does watch my kids, and because we live 5 minutes from each other, I made him move into my town. So, but when Noelle was born, my oldest daughter, I think it was a month old, Omar and his wife watched Noelle while Megan and I went out for our anniversary. So, yeah, so I would say I trust him.
Favorite teammate?
Oh, you can't do that one. I would say I have a lot of close teammates that I've pretty much talked to every day. Obviously, you see Omar just called me. But I have Victor from Miami always calls me. He called me right before this. So I have a lot of close friends from teams. And I look back on those teams, and I can always take somebody from every team and be like, I'm thankful for that experience, for this close friend. And but I think what Omar and I have done in our careers together, he's done way more without me than I have done without him. But together, I think is something special. And I think people could argue one of the best pairings in MLS history. I don't know. You could argue that.
Yeah. Another poll.
There you go. That's a poll.
Okay. Last one. Favorite show to binge watch?
Ooh. So the Ozarks, like I don't watch TV except for HGTV or A&E. But I got Netflix to watch Ozarks because people were hyping it up, and like I was like, I'll watch one episode and see how it goes. And then I would literally watch 2-3 episodes a night. And then like my wife and I just finished the whole season that just came out. And like at the end, she's like, all right, play another one. I'm like, no, I can't even it's 11 o'clock at night. Like I can't watch another hour. Like I was like, yeah, let's save it for tomorrow because once it's over, like it's over. Like we don't get to see this anymore. Like so, let's keep it going. But I think that's obviously my favorite show because I watched all 4 seasons, and I don't sit there and watch TV like that. So unless it's sports, but yeah, that's probably my I binge watched that one.
With that answer, you mentioned 2014 obviously was one of the best seasons of your career, including that favorite moment. But personally, it was one of the toughest years for you. And with that, we have to, talk about sweet Luca.
Yeah.
That's such a moving topic. And one of the first things I learned about you when you joined Houston, I was just like, man, this family is so strong, So yeah, tell us a little bit about Luca.
Oh man. I just, my wife and I were trying to get pregnant. I don't know what's too much information, but like, we were like, let's stop taking birth control and just see what happens. It could take a long time. Like we've heard other people's stories or, nope, it happened the very next month. And we were like, oh, wow. Like that was fast. And I remember going, back then, I don't think you saw the doctor as often as you do now. So we went to a little alternative place that we just wanted to get more photos of him or get photos of the baby. Like we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl, but we ended up finding out that it was a boy around 19 weeks and right before our actual doctor's visit. So we went into our actual doctor's visit and they're like, oh, like, are you ready to find out your gender? We're like, yeah, we don't know, even though we already knew. Like we were sneaking.
Just to reconfirm.
Yeah, we were sneaking around your back. But yeah, we didn't want to tell them that we already knew just to see what they would say if it was something different, whatever. And they
Smart.
confirmed that it was a boy. But then I remember in that visit, they kept going over something in the ultrasound over and over. And, it took a while. And we were like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, we'll have you talk to the doctors and they'll discuss it with you. So then we talked to the doctor and they said it possibly a congenital heart defect and that they want us to see a specialist and kind of referred us to either UCLA or CHLA. And through the galaxy, we had connections to CHLA. So, and I think that's one of the most well-known hospitals in the world. So we thought that would give us the best outcome. And, we had to go through the rest of that pregnancy though, knowing just how sick he really was, which was tough because we were still going out and buying clothes and putting together cribs and not even know if he was going to make it home. And, doctors kind of kept telling us like, this is really serious and he might not make it home or he could be in a hospital for up to a year once he's born. And we didn't know, but we still wanted to enjoy the moment, enjoy the process of becoming parents, no matter what. No matter if he came home, if he didn't come home, we still had to enjoy the experience. If not, it would have driven us both crazy. So, I remember going to doctor's visits and them saying, he'll never be able to play soccer. He won't be able to run. He won't be able to do this, that. And in my head, I'm always like, okay, like, I'm not going to listen to you. Like, he's going to come out and he'll be totally fine. So that's just how I thought. And that's how I took it. Maybe that's how I coped with things, just to kind of escape reality. But then he came out and he let out a little cry, which was a good thing. But there wasn't much after that. And I remember they had to like put all these tubes and stuff in him, like immediately. Like we didn't get to hold him. We didn't get to touch him, straight into like a little incubator. And we had to put him in an ambulance to literally go across the street to CHLA because you can't deliver at CHLA. So, and I remember in this ambulance, a lady walking across the street, like too slow for my liking, just because like he was in a rush, like he needed open heart surgery immediately. And like this lady's walking across the street and we're just waiting there in the ambulance. And I'm like, get out of the road, like go, like, but literally we had to cross the street. It was crazy. Like it would have been faster if we just pushed him across, I felt like. And then he went in for open heart surgery within, I think, 15 minutes of being alive. He was having open heart surgery and they were like, okay, like he'll be in recovery room in a couple hours. We'll let you know. So at that point, I went back to just check on my wife, make sure she was okay. And then that day, not that everything was fine, but like he had his surgery. It was successful. But I remember the next day, my wife forgot some things at home. I don't know how we forgot something at home, but I had went back to get it, and that's when I had like my first like real breakdown. Like, oh man, I had a kid and he's in the hospital. Like I'm coming home and he's not with me, so I was by myself. So I was like, I can break down. And I remember I was like, okay, I'm gonna go by CVS and get some pictures for my wife just to print them, put them by her bed because she couldn't get out of her hospital until she was discharged, which was supposed to take I think 2 to 3 days. So like she couldn't even see him except on FaceTime and all that. So I was like, I'm gonna go get her some pictures. I didn't know how to print pictures at CVS. It wasn't working, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go up to by the hospital and go to that CVS. So I was at that CVS trying to print these pictures, couldn't figure it out. And then her mom called, like, because my wife was crying at this point. She was like, she needs you here. Like, can you get back? And I was like, okay, I'm on my way. And then I remember walking into her room in her hospital and she was upset. Like, can you go see him? FaceTime me when you get over there. And I remember walking over, there's like a little tunnel to get to his hospital. And I just remember lights flashing and like, that's not a good thing. But like, there's other kids in our hallway as well. So I was like, oh man, something happened to somebody. And then I see them running down to where his room was. I was like, oh, I'm gonna say, I just let myself in the door because like nobody was answering, let me in. And then I turned the corner and they were all running. All the nurses and doctors were running to his room. My father-in-law was like pinned up against the wall in the back because there were just so many people in there trying to save his life. So he had another open heart surgery that day. So 2 in 2 days. And then they had to put him on life support to hopefully calm him down in his heart and start the healing process. But after like 6 days, they were like, okay, like if we take him off life support right now, like, and he doesn't make it, like that's nothing else we could possibly do. Like he can't live on life support. So it's like almost an hour never. So like they were about to do the third open heart surgery now in 1 week. And they were like, if they said it was supposed to take like an hour. And we're like, well, what happens, if something goes bad? Like we want to be able to hold him like before he dies. So they're like, okay, like if we come out, then it's probably not a good sign. So we're sitting outside his doorway and just watching everything that's going on. And 30 minutes in, they come out and they explain to us that it's not looking good. They rush us in there, and then our family comes in as well. And I don't remember being there for that long, but it was like 4 hours. We were just sitting there holding him. Even after he passed away, that was the first time we got to actually hold him. So very tough for our family, and thankfully we've had a lot of love and support from literally the entire MLS community, and it's helped us. And now we have obviously 3 beautiful girls and trying to keep them all healthy. So there's always something with somebody. So it's just crazy. Like having kids is hard and emotional. So
yeah, that's a very tough thing that you and your wife went through, and I admire your strength and the fact that you guys have been, just you continued.
Just obviously having a baby at all is crazy, but like that was our first child, and like we were so excited and looking forward to being parents, and then for all that to happen was just hard for us to swallow. So.
Yeah, and there are no right words, but you kept going, and I think now you know how to love even more than the average person.
Even when our kids are fighting, we're like we have them, they're doing well and they're breathing, and it's they're growing. So that's all we can be thankful for.
What advice would you give to any parents going through a similar situation?
With like a sick child or?
Yeah.
Oh man. Like even when I see like my friends who have kids with whatever problem it is, like it's so hard to say anything, and I don't even know what to say, and like I was on the other side of it too, so that's just hard. It's hard to stay true, or I don't know, to not get down, and it's hard not to Google stuff or all that. So I would say enjoy every moment, no matter what, because I was telling my wife, I was like, well, we had a week with them at least. There's other people who we've unfortunately had miscarriages too. We're like, we didn't even get to meet these kids. We didn't even have this bond. And then there's other families who had kids that passed away from congenital heart defects, and they were 6 months or 1 year old. And it's like, I don't know where along that would be easier. It wouldn't, but like at least we had a week, and we can cherish that week that we did have. So I would say cherish every moment. And I wish I had more pictures. So take more pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With everything that you went through and this career, it's very, there's a lot of pressure. I think sometimes people look at just the glamorous side of professional athlete, but how do you cope with your mental health and kind of just taking care of you whenever you do feel those moments of pressure?
Yeah, that's not easy. I think everyone handles things differently, right or wrong. Like, I think as athletes, we get put on a pedestal, and look, if we had a regular job, nobody would say anything except for your boss, maybe. But like here, there's just so many different people with so many different opinions, and you can't please everybody. You could be a great player, and there's still going to be people who are like, well, he's trash, or she's trash, or this, that. Like it's hard. And then social media doesn't help that. And I don't know, I just try to enjoy my family, I think, in the tough times. And I've had a lot of tough times here in Boston, just from, like, I know I'm the oldest player on the team, but like I still think I have something to offer. I want to help. I want to be on the field. And when I'm not given those opportunities, it's tough on me mentally. And that's why I find other things to do, like some woodworking projects, building a coffee bar at my house, playing with my kids, going to the park with them. Like, just being a dad, I think gives me the most joy. So like mentally, I think that helps me, just hearing them laugh. And when things on the field get tough, I know I always have them to lean back on.
Yeah, I love that answer.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, thank you so much, AJ.
Yeah,
this was fun. Great person on and off the field. So glad you ended up in Houston and we connected.
I'm looking forward to coming back later this year and playing you guys. So
that's right.
I left. So looking forward to seeing some familiar faces, and hopefully going to a couple of my favorite restaurants. So
yes,
we'll see.
Yeah, if people are able to go to New England Revolution games, go. If not, watch them. Or if you're in Houston, get your tickets.
Do that. We need a sellout crowd that day.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.